All right, guys, so one of the most important lessons I've learned in life is that the truth hurts. The truth hurts, especially when it goes against your perceived world views, right? What you think is right, what you think is the best strategy to win, right? Now, the Democrats, having recently lost Virginia, got a little bit of the truth from Mr. James Carville, who was a former Democrat strategist, in which he came out here and said that, hey, you guys lost because you are too woke. Take a look.
James Carville, to you, looking at these results, party, what went wrong?
What went wrong was just stupid wokeness. All right, you don't just look at Virginia and New Jersey. Look at Long Island. Look at Buffalo. Look at Minneapolis. Even look at Seattle, Washington. I mean, just defund the police lunacy, to take Abraham Lincoln's name off of schools. I mean, that people see that, and it's just really have a suppressive effect all across the country. The Democrats, some of these people need to go to a woke detox center or something. I mean, that they're expressing the language that people just don't use, and there's a backlash and a frustration at that. And you're right, suburbanites in Northern Virginia, suburbanites in Northern New Jersey, pulled away a little bit. Youngkin never ran any ads against Biden. And I think what he did is just let the Democrats pull the pin and watch a grenade go off and own them. And we got to change this and not be about changing dictionaries and change laws. And these faculty lounge people that sit around mulling about, I don't know what, they're not working. Look what happened in Buffalo. Again, Seattle, I think the Republicans may win a city attorney's race in Seattle, the autonomous zones. Who could even think of something that stupid? And they're suppressing our vote. And I got news for you. You're hurting the party. You're hurting the very people that you want to help. And Terry got caught up. He's a good friend of mine. He's a good guy. He got caught up in something national, and we got to change this.
All right, guys. So yeah, what Mr. Carville here is saying, in my opinion, is 100% spot on, right? You have radical policies that have been pushed across the country by Democrats in the far left, like defund the police, right? They're talking about trying to change the names on school. I mean, they're talking about trying to change the name of schools named after Abraham Lincoln, right? Taking out Teddy Roosevelt statues. Okay. They're pushing radical policies in schools when it comes to the whole bathroom issue, right? When it comes to talking about race. All these things are a part of the so-called culture war that people on the left like to pretend that they don't participate in, but they actually do participate in it. Matter of fact, they're one of the biggest participants in it. Okay, but they don't want to acknowledge the fact that their culture war is in fact unpopular, right? It's unpopular. Wokeness is unpopular. People don't want wokeness. And I think it's very, very clear in regards to what happened in Virginia. Specifically, when you look at the exit polls, I mean, obviously the economy was the number one thing, right? However, a second was education. And what does education break down to? Well, obviously, parents want school choice, but also part of it, again, was the radical policies, the bathroom policies, the racialized education, CRT, all that stuff, again, is a part of wokeness, right? But see, the Democrats, they agree with that stuff, right? The far left, leftists, they agree with that, right? They want that. So when somebody tells them that that's wrong, right, that what you're saying, the American people just don't want, they get super upset about it. They get really upset about it. Matter of fact, AOC got so triggered by this, right, that she went on to basically rip Mr. Carville for saying that he's insulting younger voters by using the term woke. But somebody that really, really, really got pissed off about this was a fringe race hustler, Roland Martin, who on MSNBC had some very choice racialized words for Mr. Carville. Take a look.
Roland, before we check out, I want to get your thoughts on Carville. We're so tight, the Biden presser made us mess up, but I just got to hear your take on Carville and his comments on woke speak.
I need Carville to shut the F up. because I'm sick of these white men whining and complaining about wokeness when you like it when black folks and Latinos and young white voters and agents are voting for candidates. How about this, James Carville? How about you go learn how to cut some Lincoln Project type ads with the Democratic Party? How about creating some actual memes? Where's the video this morning touting the infrastructure bill? How about you go raise money to run those ads on OAN and Fox News and Newsmax and telling those broke white folks in those various states how the infrastructure bill is going to benefit them? So I'm sorry, James. I need you to shut up and do your job and stop trying to pin it on people who are doing the work.
Well, you know, Roland has strong thoughts. I have to say, I think a lot of us feel that way, though, Ro. And I think it's going to be hard for a lot of people as the changing demographics. You're looking at the screen right now. This is the rising majority of America. And when this group of people starts getting centered, it's going to be uncomfortable for a lot of people. But after we've been uncomfortable for a long time, at this point in history, we're comfortable making people uncomfortable. So thank you to my amazing panel, Lynn Wynn, Roland Martin, and Jess Morales-Arquetto. You guys are rock stars, rock star panel. Thanks for being here.
Guys, I think it goes without saying. First and foremost, I mean, that type of rhetoric, shut the F up, right? And I am sick of white men using the term wokeness for such and such and such, right? I'm sick of white men. Now imagine if, again, a white person goes up to Roland and says, I'm sick of black men always crying about racism. I'm sick of black people always crying about racism. They would say that person is a racist, right? They would say that person is a racist. You're a racist for using that type of charged rhetoric, okay? But Roland Martin can go out here and say something like that, right? And just flat out just insult white people. Just flat out say, oh, these broke white people, such and such and such, right? And nobody is ever going to say the man is racist, right? Nobody's going to call him out and say, bro, like, is that really necessary, right? Do you think that that type of rhetoric is going to get us to the place that you guys claim that you want, right? Which is supposed to be equality. But see, the problem is a lot of these guys, they don't really want equality, right? They want racial dominance and superiority. They really don't have any problems with racism. They just have a problem with the fact that white people are the majority. Right, that's really what the actual problem is, and that's why Joy Reid Light made that statement at the end when she was talking about, well, changing demographics, and that we've been so uncomfortable for so long, and in the future, you know, we're gonna make other people uncomfortable because we're gonna be the majority. And I really don't know what she's talking about when it comes to we, because the black population is not growing. Or put it this way, our overall percentage of the population has remained somewhat constant recently, right? We've been stuck at 13-14% for a while. She's talking about the Hispanic population and the Asian population. That's what she's talking about, right? Which is another reason why we need to stop aborting our children. But hey, I don't know if she would agree with that policy. So I really don't know what she's saying there. But I do know what she's saying. She's low-key advocating for, well, you know what? Once these white people are, you know, in a minority, you know, they just gonna have to be uncomfortable, right? And this is why they hate when people come after wokeness, because wokeness really just stands for progressive radical cultural politics, right? That's what it is, okay? Which encompasses radical race politics, radical gender politics, radical changing of our history, our institutions. All that stuff encompasses wokeness, right? And that's why these people get so upset when white people are like, nah, I don't want to get on board with wokeness. I don't really like wokeness. Because essentially what that person is saying is that I don't really like anti-white politics, right? And a lot of these people on the left, that's their whole thing. They're pushing anti-white politics, right? So that's why they get so offended when their allies are just like, I'm not on board with all this anti-white stuff, okay? That's why they throw fits over it. Okay, it frustrates them to no end. But despite knowing this, some of these people, they double down in this type of divisive, hateful rhetoric. They just do it anyways. Again, this is the type of racially charged rhetoric that lost them Virginia. This is the type of racially charged rhetoric that is going to lose them 2022. So again, hey, if they want to keep talking like this, go for it. But it really shows a severe misunderstanding, like a lack of understanding in terms of why they're losing, right? It really does. The fact that you go out here and you continue to keep saying this while also not really paying attention to what these parents are saying, right? The actual voters are saying, it again shows you why they're lost, right? And the Democrats, they're taking their advice from people like these people, right? The Roland Martins of the world, right? The far leftists like Joy Reid in regards to this race stuff and pushing that. But they're not taking advice from people like James Carville, who actually, in my opinion, I think is a lot more accurate in regards to his assessment in terms of why they lost. I guarantee you, none of these people know what happened in Loudoun County. None of these people are aware of the case involving a teenage girl in the bathroom, right? None of these people are aware of the things that these parents are actually saying, right? They don't actually know what they're saying. They don't know what the actual issue is. They just say, oh, it's made up and keep it moving, right? That's what they do. And the reason why you know is because if they actually knew what these parents' concerns were, if they actually cared, then they wouldn't be using rhetoric like this, right? But they want to use rhetoric like this and then expect white people to vote for them and to get on board with their agenda. When every time you look, they're constantly taking every opportunity they can to demonize white people, right? James Carville is supposed to be a quote unquote ally to them, right? An ally. So you know how Roland Martin talks to his allies? With racially charged rhetoric. That's why. That's what he does. Okay? That's what he does. And people that probably have more closer views to James Carville, right, that may be more economically liberal, but more socially conservative or culturally conservative, are going to get turned off by that type of rhetoric. They're going to get turned off. They can say, okay, this guy's a racist. I feel like this guy hates me, right? That's how they're going to feel. And in my opinion, I think that's what happened in Virginia to a certain extent. And people want to get mad about it, but it's true. It is true. I mean, you had Terry McAuliffe on the last day of his campaign. His closing argument was, we need to replace white teachers, right? We need to replace white teachers. Do you think a white person listening to that is going to be like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea, right? Instead of saying we need better teachers, right? We need to put the best teachers in classrooms. That is actually a winning message that people could get on board with. Terry McAuliffe also said that parents shouldn't have a say in what their children is taught in school. And then you look at the exit poll and it's like, bro, 80+% of respondents say that, yeah, I mean, parents should have at least a lot or some to say about what their children are taught in school, right? But again, these people, for whatever reason, they don't want to reflect on that and say, is that the right message? The reason why is because that message that Terry McAuliffe is putting out there is wokeness. It comes from wokeness. That's what it is. You know why? Because parents having a say in terms of what their kids are learning in school means that they can't implement their woke agenda, right? Parents' right to have a say in what their child learns, that gets in the way of the liberal racialized indoctrination that's going on in schools, right? They rather just ignore it and act like it's not a thing and that everybody is on board with their progressive cultural agenda, and it's just not true, right? It's just not true. And this tweet right here from Jemele Hill, again, just shows you the confusion that these people have. They literally have no clue. They have no clue. She says, white folks in 2020, how can we better be allies and help combat systemic racism? Teach us. White folks in 2021, stop talking about racism. Your wokeness is alienating everybody and causing us to lose elections. Child, I can't keep up. See, what Jemele Hill doesn't realize is that the woke revolutionaries have taken this to the extreme, right? We've seen the support for Black Lives Matter after George Floyd, right? That incident. A lot of people were kind of like, yeah, this is kind of messed up, right? What happens is kind of messed up. Yeah, we probably do need some type of police reform. However, the Democrats, like every other issue, right, they let the woke extremists in their party drive the policy agenda. And it went from we need police reform to we need to defund the police, right? Abolish the police. Get rid of the police, which is just a losing issue across the board. Even the city that defunded the police was born in, Minneapolis, Minnesota, was like, nah, like we'd rather have corrupt cops than to have social workers, right, trying to be cops, right? That's what they said. But for whatever reason, people like Jemele Hill, right, throw Roland Martin in there, they can't figure that out, right? They can't figure out, wait, why is it that these people don't really like us like that. Why they really ain't jiving with us like that, right? Because you have extremists in the party that, to me, seem to be hell-bent on driving this country into a race war. They're more concerned about racial dynamics than the well-being of all Americans, right? That's what they're more concerned about. And again, this lack of awareness is so prevalent. It's so prevalent on the left. And we've seen that for the last week, them trying to cope with the loss in Virginia, and all they doing is just saying, oh, white supremacy this, white supremacy that. You know, what these parents are saying isn't real, is all made up, blah, 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 playing semantics games, you know, attacking each other, right? You know, you got people attacking white folks. You're the problem, right? And then they wonder why these white people went and voted for Republicans who are not saying that. Again, man, you know, these people are, again, I just have no words sometimes, okay? But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.